I just wanted to kind of just define that relaxation is a sensation. It is not the same as peace. And then oftentimes we go to a lot of things to try to medicate. I saw a horrible tweet. I'm just gonna put it up on the screen. I thought that was funny, but it's so true. And so what happens when we have things that trigger our emotions? We can't, because we don't have a backbone in our body to deny ourselves. And so I wanted to reiterate that peace is not a sensation. What is peace though? What is peace? That is the most honest thing about this song. I said I don't know what peace is, but I know what peace is not. And it's all of these things that I listed according to my life. And that's why I ended the song the way I ended the song. I'm saying I know it comes from God. At least I know that peace comes from God. I can't give you a definitive answer because I don't have the answer. I think the thing with me and what made this song so honest is that I wasn't trying to say, oh yeah, the spiritual folk, the conscious people, they're gonna eat this up. No, I just was like, to say, hey, are y'all going through this too? Am I alone in this? I know I'm not alone in this. I know somebody else relates. And I wanted to do it in a tasteful manner. What's going on, everyone? My name is LYRC. Thank you for joining me on another episode. Today we're gonna do things a little different. We're gonna do a lyrical breakdown of one of my most honest songs to date. When I first made this, I didn't expect it to turn into the direction it did. Initially, I was thinking of doing a tribute to one of my favorite artists of all time, but the song's new trajectory really helped make it a bit more timeless, make it a bit more honest, make it a bit more real. So, if you hadn't known by now, I'm assuming from the title, this is a Lauryn Hill tribute. The only difference is, the only hints of the tribute are components of the song as opposed to blatantly making a song for her. With that being said, I want to kind of switch gears and let you know how I came up to what I came up with. When I first heard the sample, it was like, the first time you hear the chord, it sounded very, happy. Then the second time the chord ends, it's like a little sad. The third time, it feels like it's longing for something. And then by the fourth, it's like looping right back again to the beginning. And it just felt like a cycle. It just felt like a very reflective kind of feel to it. So that really sent me down this rabbit hole. It kind of sounded sad, like it sounded like somebody who's been through a lot. Although I'm not here to compare scars, I know I've been through a lot, like in my spiritual life. And I know Lauryn has made joints about her spiritual walk, especially in her Unplugged series. And there was this one song where she was being honest, and she breaks down at the end of the song. She was crying, and I thought that was so raw, so beautiful, that it really spoke to me. Now, when I first started, I had no idea how to begin, where to begin, but I like to start with my hooks. And one day I just kept singing it, and you'll see why I came to the conclusion I came to. The more I was writing it, the more I had lived experience. So it starts off as this.
I gotta find my peace of mind. I've gotta find my peace of mind. I've gotta find my own peace of mind. I gotta find my peace of mind. Ooh.
So when I was doing the hook, I made this a year ago from now. It was a very tumultuous time for me. It was like figuring out my foundation is not as A1 as I thought. And so I just didn't know where to begin. And so just really that song, that one-liner, I gotta find my peace of mind. Actually, Lauryn said, I gotta find peace of mind. I added a my to it because it's like, it just felt so much more personable. And I didn't know, I couldn't get it out of my system. I was looking for peace and tranquility because I was so restless, so void. And so when I started the verse, it took a while, but this is how I came up with the verse.
Everybody always search for peace, and very few come close and they ain't even succeed. We conflate it with our wants and our needs, but that ain't what it means. That's just financial security. Everybody's got some goals they seek, but they got none to give, only to receive. Way too busy, always saying me. That we get filled with greed. Yeah. And we're convinced that's us chasing.
We misconstrue what peace is. I was trying to define peace. I started the verse off by trying to define peace. And yet I found that it's not financial security. It is not our pursuit of dreams. It is not stability at all. Rather, it's finding peace in the storm. Rather, it's a fortified mind. As the waves of this world are crashing against you, you are not shaken. And that sounds so zen, that sounds so deep. But you can feel the tension, but you're just not gonna bend. You know, you're planted by, what's that song? I don't know that song. I'm gonna flash it across the stream when I find it, but that was peace. But it's easy for me to describe it to you, but when you live through something, the words that I'm saying will hit harder. Unfortunately, that's just the way things go.
Miseducated as a jit, I'm legit. I just done been debating if I shouldn't, but I did. I said, let me go on and pray to God on a whim. Told him rid everything that had blocked me from him. I didn't anticipate it would get very grim. And them certain things they wouldn't sin, so I'd bend. It's like I oftentimes was getting spread very thin. In addition to that, as a fact, I done dipped. That's that.
So this was all based on a true story. None of this was, not that I'm lying, but everything was verbatim how it happened. I've been miseducated as a kid, as a jit. I'm legit. I've been debating if I shouldn't, but I did. And it's like, what have you been debating? I was debating, should I go pray to God on a whim? And I said, yo, like, get rid of everything that's blocking me from him. Anything from us that's veiled me from seeing you. And I said, I didn't anticipate it would get very grim. And there were certain things that weren't a sin. And so I would bend. I would try to make my way happen with them, holding the tension of, you know, having my cake and eat it too. And it was like I was oftentimes getting spread very thin because my attention was so divided. My heart was so double-minded. In addition to that, as a fact, I just dipped. And I said I just dipped because by the second verse, you'll see what I was trying to reconcile. Like, who did I dip from? What did I dip to? All these things. So when the bridge hits, it goes like this.
Now that I've grown a lot, I'm confident enough to say it comes from God. Looked everywhere I tried. Take my word as final, though you can decide. Swallow all of your pride. Found some counterfeits that wouldn't last a while. They was all a lie. It all falls down.
You always hear songs in the media say, God, you're the only way, da-da-da-da, and you're kind of just like, yeah, amen, you know? But you're not compelled, you're not convinced. This is the voice of somebody who is convinced, who has been through it all. I haven't been through it all, but I have tried to look for it all. And even the great Solomon, this man had 7,000. Let me stop. Even he could come to the conclusion it's all a lie. It's all a fake. It's all a counterfeit. There's nothing substantial. And this was before God came down as a man. I'm saying this to say that there is a God out there who wants to get to know you. Simply put. And if you're not convinced, if you don't understand that there's nothing that will last except for him. And this is the voice of somebody. Sometimes you have to go see it, unfortunately. Sometimes you're so stubborn, you have to try it out. And this is the voice of somebody who has burnt themselves, who came back to say, no, I was wrong. I gotta find my own peace of mind. And this is because, especially if you grew up if you're a minister's kid or you grew up in the house of God, but you trivialized it. Maybe you haven't made it personal. Maybe you haven't made it your own yet. Maybe you haven't understood the treasure that's hidden in plain sight, right underneath your nose. And so when I come into verse 2, that's how I continue things off. I said,
I done tried this, I tried that. I tried women, tried rap. I tried to keep a lie intact and didn't know where my peace of mind was at.
It's like you traded truth, you traded peace for a lie.
Like, besides this, besides that, I wished I could give my time back. My life ain't in my hands. It's neither nor in my finance.
It's not about how much I make. And that gentle reminder is what you need. And to go back to continue off of verse 1.
How many more of my homies became associates now?
I asked God, yo, get rid of this for me. I did not expect it to be people. And it's not because of... I honestly can't answer that question. It's not because I'm trying to justify, relationships that have ended and now have served their purpose. More so, it just came out of left field. That's all I can say. And to add on top of that, I have just banked people's opinions much more. Be it my friends, and then the next line is for my heroes who have let me down.
How many more of all of my heroes letting me down, robbing me of my peace while losing rest I done found. This was all a sobering moment, hope it's over with now.
Even though this is all I need this, I needed this, I'm just kind of when is this over? Let me just open my eyes as soon as it's all done. But it was unfortunately a necessary evil, But it goes even a step further. It's not even about necessarily the circumstances. It's more about what's internally inside of me.
How many secret idols I kept inside of my heart? But now I'm thinking back and I'm looking at it like now. For 20-something years and all this time been a fraud.
So that's very jam-packed. How many secret idols I've kept inside of my heart is referring to... It didn't even just stop at friends. It was so many things that was veiling me from the true nature of God or the character of God that I couldn't fathom. Be it friends, my heroes, and lastly, my own gift. My own gift became an idol. We're talking about somebody who writes songs, who pens things together, saying, oh, they're going to love this one. Ooh. But it's very disingenuous,
I was caught in my gifts, but it was all a facade,
And it was all a facade. And as you could see, my flow is very fluttery. It's very fast. It's because I'm so restless. I'm so impatient. And I wanted to keep that motor mouth technique to it because I said, but it was all a facade. But it was all a facade, So I really wanted to accentuate that part.
If you knew what I lived through to get to this point, if you knew what I was into, what I said I would, but I just couldn't do, how all my vices play with my mental.
If you notice by now, I really wanted to kind of balance singing and rapping at the same time. Or if I have to toggle switch between those two, I've mastered it. And this is my pursuit in doing so.
Everything's everything, it ain't coincidental.
That's a line to a Lauryn Hill song. Everything is everything. What is meant to be will be.
All that I faced, it was instrumental to help get me to see while I was making this beat, balancing melodies, all up in this quest for peace.
It was instrumental as I made this beat, And so I just wanted to kind of just define that relaxation is a sensation. It is not the same as peace. And then oftentimes we go to a lot of things to try to medicate. I saw a horrible tweet. I'm just gonna put it up on the screen. I thought that was funny, but it's so true. 9 times out of 10, we are lorded over by our emotions. We're controlled by them. And so what happens when we have things that trigger our emotions? What happens? How can we combat it? How can we can't. Because we don't have a backbone in our body to deny ourselves. And so I wanted to reiterate that a sensation, peace is not a sensation. It's not. And what is peace though? What is peace? That is the most honest thing about this song. I said I don't know what peace is, but I know what peace is not. And it's all of these things that I listed according to my life. And that's why I ended the song the way I ended the song. I'm saying I know it comes from God. At least I know that peace comes from God. I can't give you a definitive answer because I don't have the answer. I think the thing with me and what made this song so honest is that I wasn't trying to say, oh yeah, the spiritual folk, the conscious people, they're gonna eat this up. The Christians, they're gonna eat this up. No, I just was like, I'm feeling like this. Does anybody else feel like this? And so I made this joint. When I made this joint, it was just very telling of how quickly I wanted to share something. To say, hey, are y'all going through this too? Am I alone in this? I know I'm not alone in this. I know somebody else relates. And I wanted to do it in a tasteful manner. I wanted to allude to Lauryn Hill, but also make my own new. I didn't want to ride the coattails of the 90s hip-hop experience. And I think I did that beautifully because at the end, I just ended it off by saying, God, you could be my, if you're not my peace of mind. There are times, I'm not going to lie to you, there are times where the song will hit me out of nowhere and I'll be bawling my eyes out. That's how deep it is to me. All this from a Lauryn Hill tribute.
Now that I've grown a lot, I'm confident enough to say it comes from God. Looked everywhere I tried, take my word as final, though you can decide.